Hey, this is Pierre Villaco talking. So I wanted to discuss a bit about governance around Teams because people are very confused the first time they use Teams, and even I've met with a lot of customers who are still confused and when working with Teams. So one topic is how to figure out if you need to work in a chat, group chat, or channel, but there's more to it. Actually, I really recommend every customer to work on a governance, especially around Teams. So it's there are different topics like if the first one is when should I use OneDrive or Teams or SharePoint, but there's also the chat versus channel, which is the topic of today. But there's also should I create a team or with several channels or several teams? And so really it's not an easy thing to define, and you need to give some guidance to users so they can understand how they're going to structure their teams. Should they structure the teams per department, per project, how they should handle it? Because once they have the tool, they don't really know what to do with it. So they need some guidance. And if you don't build this guidance before allowing people to create teams, you might end with some sort of chaos with different patterns of collaboration. So also what's important is to build what I call digital etiquette around, how do you behave in the team? What is also the benefit of teams? There's a lot of topics, but this topic is about chat versus channel. So to make it simple, I made a list. I hope it's useful for some of you. So I will say first, the group chat. It should be aimed for short-term discussion. I mean by that, it can be a group chat that lasts a very long time, but what you're going to discuss in the chat is very short term. So for example, I have a chat with my team. We're just discussing about what's going on, and but we don't really rely on the chat to, you know, collaborate on documents, even if we can, but it's not the purpose of a group chat. It can happen, but it's not the purpose. The purpose for collaborating on documents is more for a channel. So it's mainly, a short-term discussion. We talk about everything. We talk about, something we saw, something that is interesting, something that is happening in our project, stuff like that. So that's short-term discussion. That's what I mean. While for a Teams channel post, that's more mid-term, long-term collaboration and discussion. So you're not only discussing, but you're collaborating on documents. And eventually you have other context. The Teams channels are what I call collaboration in context. You're already in a context of a team, then you're in the context of a channel, then you're in the context eventually on a doc of a document which is in a folder. So you have way more information than when you receive an email and you don't know, it's buried with other emails and you have to go through the email to figure out, what it is about. In Teams, you already work in context. So it's mostly for midterm or long-term collaboration. Uh, when you do a group chat, it really implies quick answers. That's most of the time we describe it as a synchronous tool, the group chat, even if it's not really totally synchronous because maybe people are busy and they don't have the time to look at your chat and they have so many other chats and so many other activities, but it's in the mindset it implies quick answers. So when you're using group chat, it's often because you want to have a quick answer. So that's how people are reacting. They're gonna react faster if you post something in a group chat than if you post it in a team. But if the subject you're talking about is in should be in a team, you should probably do that in a team, but you should expect long, not quick answer. So usually it's if you use Teams channels when it's not urgent, and maybe if you see that people don't react to your message in Teams channel, you can use the group chat. I'm not sure. Uh, and also the group chat. Generally what I see is under 5 people. Sometimes it might be more. But if you have a lot of people in a group chat, you can imagine, you know, how many notifications you're gonna have if everybody starts to discuss in the group chat. So you're gonna be tired of this group chat pretty quickly. So generally consider a group chat under 5 people, and for team channel it's mostly most of the time above 5 people. Because a team, I don't know if it's 5, 10, but usually it's more than five. Uh, when you're in a group chat, you don't need to collaborate on document. It can happen again, but it's really confusing because when you collaborating on the document in a group chat, the document is stored in the OneDrive of the person who dropped the document in the group chat. And if this person is leaving, you lost all the collaboration. So it's not really meant to collaborate in documents. Sometimes, it's faster to share a document directly in the group chat so everybody has access to it. And maybe sometimes if you want to quickly make a review of a document and you don't have a team for that, maybe the group chat is a good place. But in general, it's because you're not going to use group chat to collaborate on documents, especially when you have several documents. That's then it's not possible because there's no structure for that. When you need to collaborate on several documents, you definitely need to create a team. So if you don't have a team already, create the team and find the right channel where you're going to collaborate on those documents. So group chat, it's mainly some use case, as I said, it's let's talk about a subject. Just quick subject, quick answer, nothing that lasts. But for the Teams channels, you want to have this conversation about the subject. Is it a project? Is it a common interest or whatever it is that lasts and that, people who are joining the team later can, see the different conversations, see different files, and they can have a glimpse of what happened before. So it's there so people can remember what has been said. It's true that when you have a lot of messages in a team, in a channel, you might not look at everything, but you have the search, so you can maybe find a few information. I think what people rely on more is at least the maybe the initial discussion, um, but mainly it's going to be the documents that are in the team's channels. Um, another uh, another use case to just describe it is if you want people to review a document quickly, you have a few people you're working with and you want to share a document so they can quickly review the document, make some comments, and then maybe that's the fastest way. Again, if you have a team, it's better to do it in a team. So if you have several documents, definitely you need to do that in a team. Again, I said most of the time it's synchronous for the group chat, and it's really not synchronous for a channel. Even if you expect people to answer quickly, they probably won't answer quickly, especially when they have a lot of teams and a lot of notifications. They might not look at every notification in all the teams. It goes into the activity tray. And people, we know that their studies that shows that people look first at their chat because they feel directly solicited. When the activity tray, it's a bunch of things. It's meeting notification. It's Teams notification. It's a lot of notifications are going in the activity tray. So it's difficult to figure out if it's important or not. While in a chat, that means you're in a chat either with one person or several persons, so you probably need to enter this chat. Uh, in a group chat, you don't need to add mention people to, for them to get notified. They're gonna be notified every time you put something in a chat. Sometimes you want to add mention somebody just because they realize that if you're in a group, that you're targeting someone in a group to answer at least. But in terms of notification, everybody's going to receive a notification. Uh, so when you're in the channel, what I see often is people are sharing something without mentioning anybody, and they don't realize that nobody's going to read it. or not a lot of people are going to read it, especially when you get used to Teams. You have so many notifications that you're not gonna, on top of that, look at every post that have been made. Even if you see that the channel is in bold, you're probably not gonna read it if you're not at mention. So at least at mention somebody, the person you're targeting with the message, to be sure that it's read, and build some convention on, what does it mean to be read. So for example, we usually recommend people to like a message just to acknowledge they read the message. Um, so again, group chat can be very noisy, especially if you have a lot of people in a group chat. You every time somebody puts a message there, there's a pop-up, and so unless you mute the group chat, then you're gonna receive a lot of notification. But if you mute the group chat, you won't see the notification. So really, it's a matter of understanding how important is a group chat. And Teams channels are not noisy because, unless people are at mentioning the whole team or the channel all the time, that's where you need education. Uh, you just receive notification when somebody is at mentioning you or at mentioning the team, which should be rare, or at mentioning the channel, which will be rare too, or at mentioning the tag. Tag might be a good option. It's a way to have some sort of DL, distribution list, in your team, so you can target people and people can join the tag. And then when you tag this tag, when you add mention this tag, only the people in the tag will receive the notification. And finally, group chat are for uh, an unstructured conversation. So everything is flat, even if you can reply one message, but you don't have threaded conversation. So it's really hard to follow. So having a long conversation, I think at one point in a group chat should end into a meeting or a call, a video call, whatever it is, because it becomes very confusing for the users. And Teams is really well structured, already a team, already a channel, and you know that you're discussing in a channel, and then it's threaded in a channel, so you can have different threads in a channel. Even if you cannot, like in email, have uh, different threads in the same thread. So there are maybe tactics to handle those threads of thread, but maybe it's not a good practice to a forked thread. So, but the tip is to answer a thread in a thread. If you want to refer to another thread which is part of the same conversation, just grab the link of the initial conversation and paste it, maybe with the quote feature, so it's highlighted, and then people, when they're going to click on the link, they're going to jump to the initial conversation. So that's when you want to refer to a previous conversation. You can grab the link of this conversation, paste it in another post so people are aware of it. So as you can see, there's some guidance that you need to build, that you need to educate your users with. But definitely the first thing to do is to build guidance, these guidance, and not only on chat versus channel, it's also channel versus teams. It's also private channel versus standard channel versus shared channel. There's a lot of things, and also about how do you behave, what's the intent of a team, why team is important. Because what I've seen with a lot of customers there, I will say there's part of the customers who are really embracing the team spirit, understanding and following the footsteps of Microsoft, going, in the right direction of a more transparent collaboration and do whatever they can in Teams. So that's one group, fully embracing Teams concept. That's the one usually who did this effort of building some governance and guidance and educating the users on that. There's another group of customers who are, you know, uh, doing Teams, but heavily relying on chat, and sometimes they do some stuff in the Teams, And that's where people are more comfortable going with chat rather than channel because they feel maybe not secure to post something in channel because you're more public. They feel more secure in a group chat that is confined to a few people. So that's a big chunk of customers, I will say. And there's also a group of customers who are either not using Teams channels or even not worse, but uh, using Teams channels just to store the files and still sending email and with a links to the SharePoint site that is behind the team. So Teams becomes a repository, but they don't use the capability of the channel. So to me, the main concept people need to understand is it's a one-stop shop. Teams is a one-stop shop. It's going to be like that. That's the vision of Microsoft, and I think the customer should embrace this vision. And that's how the tool is going to be enhanced in the future. So the concept is really contextual. The concept of team channels is a contextual environment to collaborate, where you have the files and the communication. Because if you rely on Teams just to store your documents, which is important, but if you only rely on this, all the communication goes through email and everything's going to be flat and you're going to still, have too many emails in your inbox and you're going to be confused. So really it's collaboration context with files and post conversations. And on top of that, you have way more context that you can add. You can add tabs, so you can add depending on the tenant you're on and the policy that your IT put in place. But you can add tons of tabs. So there's a Microsoft tabs with you can add Planner, you can OneNote, you can add a PowerPoint, important PowerPoint in a tab. You can add a website, but you can also in commercial tenant you can add whatever application is available. There's more than 1,500 applications available in Teams that you can add in a channel. And so you can see directly in a channel, you're working on a project, you can see a project timeline, you can see a brainstorming tool like a Mira, or you can add whatever. You can add Salesforce, you can add, there's so many applications that can enhance your channels and bring more context to what you're doing in the channel. Hope this was insightful. Chat versus channel is probably one of the first governance topic you want to address.